Well, thanks everyone for joining today. We're so excited for the first demo day we have here. I'm going to make a quick intro from my side. I'm Michael Gaizutis. I'm the founder of an experience design agency called RNO1. We're on the West Coast and we have teams in Canada and Europe. And we're putting on this great event. It's our first demo day where we're bringing together the worlds of Web3 from the startup side and the great team members you see here today, which I'll also introduce, to phenomenal investors in the VC private equity world who are equally excited about what we say and making waves in Web3. So we wanted to provide an opportunity to bring these two worlds together. Again, this is the first of many events that we have coming up. We'll be doing this every single month, bringing together a key select group of startups and capital access providers, the investors that you see here today. With that in mind, I want to quickly introduce you to both the companies that are here, the startups here today, and also on the investment side who we have attending. And the whole aim of today, just so everybody knows, is to really get everybody talking, listening, and sharing. And if we could get some great things to happen from that, such as investment, such as growth, that's the ideal. But again, there's no strings attached. There's no commitment. We're really looking to just listen and learn and see what type of impact we can make together in the Web3 space. Again, imagine this to be a Shark Tank of the Web3 space that we're in today, and it's just the beginning of many great things to come. So with that in mind, I'm going to make some quick intros. On the startup side, we have Nelly from Tangra. We have Tamir from Obortech. We have Ezra, who will be joining shortly from Emote AI. And last but not least, we have Michael from Ficto TV. On the investment side, we have Sudhir from FYDA Growth Partners. We have Richard from Ignite Capital. And we have Ali and Armando from Meadow Ventures.
Nope, Ali's from Blockchain Founders. I think that's a mistake.
Apologies, Blockchain Founders, yes. Even better. That was even better. So with that in mind, we wanted to talk about what this, the purpose of this event is. Again, as I said, it's really to bridge the gap between the world of startups and the great technology teams and passion behind Web3 and the level of growth capability that goes along with capital infusion to help them to actualize those goals and their mission and vision in this space. So we're going to be going in a sequence of events here where we're introducing each individual startup. They're going to be giving a quick demo or pitch, if you will, of what they're doing in the market. We're going to limit it to about 5 to 10 minutes per startup. And if it goes over, that's okay. Again, we're listening, we're learning, we're sharing. On the investment side, if anybody has questions, please feel free to ask or put them in the chat window. Again, there's no expectation here. It's just an opportunity to learn more and share more and see what comes from it. So with that in mind, I'm going to pass this over to Nelly at Tangra. Nelly, if you're ready, we'd love to hear more about what you're working on at Tangra and how you're looking to change the world.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Always happy to share what we're building. I'll share my screen now. We'll go into presentation mode. Please let me know if it worked on your end. Can you see my screen?
Can everybody see what Nelly is sharing?
Yes, we can.
Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you. Hi, I'm Nelly Tacheva, the founder and CEO of SimplyFlows and Tangra. As a software engineer, I've worked remotely most of my career, and currently I run a completely virtual company and work with people on 5 continents. We've tried many chat and video conferencing tools, but none has quite cut it. Let's be honest, those tools were never intended to be engaging or collaborative. They were just temporary replacement for in-person meetings. And that used to be okay until the pandemic. The change of how we work is real, and it's here to stay. The future of work is virtual or hybrid. Therefore, organizations need a virtual office in addition to, or oftentimes instead of, the brick and mortar one. To truly align with the needs of the modern businesses, we must give them the proper tools to operate in this new reality. We help organizations boost engagement and efficiency by offering the first ever Metaverse offices with virtual assistants. No coding or technical experience is necessary. You only need a browser and an internet connection. Our Metaverse, Tangra, provides an immersive experience for team members to ensure engagement, and our virtual assistants boost employees' efficiency and productivity. The Metaverse is expected to be an 800 billion market by 2024. The XR, which is short of AR, VR, and MR, will be a 1 trillion market by 2030. And according to Gartner, by 2026, a quarter of us will spend at least 1 hour daily in the Metaverse for work, learning, shopping, entertainment, etc. Our business model is simple. Customers will pay us a subscription to rent an office in the Metaverse and to hire our 24/7 assistants. We will target young, innovative companies with virtual teams. Our path to success is a phased approach from small to mid-sized businesses, from direct sales to marketplaces and partnerships, and starting in North America to expanding globally. Our main advantage is that we've already developed the virtual assistants functionality, and we're bringing a ton of existing cloud apps into the Metaverse. Unlike the competition, we are creating a professional-looking Metaverse for doing business, not for gaming or entertainment. Focusing on lowering the barriers to entry and adoption sets us apart. Tangra is a web-based Metaverse. No headsets or any other hardware is required. We onboarded 5 companies just this past week. Additionally, we've already built over 30 integrations that will power our virtual assistants. We have a working MVP. Next, we'll be validating with users until we get product market fit. And from that point on, we'll be scaling up. We have a great team with over 100 years of combined experience in building software, teams, strategies, and innovation. We've partnered with marketing and software development agencies, and most recently, we started working with 3D designers. We have one in Ukraine and another one laid in Saudi Arabia. We are self-funded, pre-launch and pre-revenue. Funding will help us add more platforms, functionality, enhance the UX, and grow our marketing and sales initiatives. I look forward to welcoming you all into Tangra. You can actually do so by scanning this code and join us. Thank you.
Well done, Nelly. Thank you so much for the intro to Tangra. What you're building is so exciting, and I think you and I had an opportunity to chat before, and definitely felt your passion for the space. There's so much potential here. So thank you again. I want to open this up for Nelly and Tangra to the investment side to see what questions either those on the investment side have for Nelly or anybody else here for that matter about what she's building at Tangra and what she's hoping to do in this Web3 space.
Yeah. So Nelly, I see Tangra as a natural evolution of what you do at Simply Flows, right? And I see this as a rework of Metaverse plus loaded with digital assistants. So, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
What would be interesting for me to know is what type of functionality would your digital assistants perform? Because right now there are already digital assistants which are non-Metaverse, which are digital assistants married with workflow automation. Okay, and I think that's your vision, right? And so, can you elaborate more? I saw your use cases, construction, and so on. But can you elaborate a little, go a little deeper to explain, what functions your digital assistants will perform in Metaverse?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the questions that here. What we want to do is to bring anything existing into the metaverse instead of building it from scratch. So if there is an application and if there is the need, if there is an integration we can build, we are doing that. That being said, for example, we have an office assistant who greets you when you enter the metaverse. They know your name, they can point you to various resources. It is literally as an office assistant. If you needed to book a meeting with someone on the team, or if you needed to learn more about the company, or sign up for their event, or do anything else, literally leave a review or leave a message to the team. So that's an example of an office assistant. Another examples are some integrations with whiteboarding tools, or you can actually have that immersive experience where people are together in the same space, and there are various ways for them to share their screens, to copy and paste the screenshot, to draw on a whiteboard, to put a sticky note or anything, really to create that collaborative space for a team to be together, to work together, and to be efficient together. Did I answer your question?
No, I would really like to understand. You have about 5 customers that you said, okay, early customers. Are you in a position to show any demonstration of the digital assistant?
Yes, I can actually share a demo with you. So yeah. One is a marketing agency use case. The other one is a virtual SaaS. They build a CRM system for the construction space. And from their perspective, they would like to operate first to have this immersive experience as a team, of course, but they also, because of the industry they're in, and that industry is all about 3D models, for them it makes sense to have the 3D experience actually with their clients. So it is very interesting and refreshing to see how many industries are already ready for the 3D world, and some of them you may not even suspect, but because the way they operate, the way they work, they're already into a 3D world.
I'm not going to take too much of time because there are other people also here. But what you have embarked upon is a very interesting opportunity. What depends on how you execute on that in terms of the experience that you deliver to the people. So if you can send some video links in the chat box, I would really like to see them.
I will follow up with an email with that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sudhir.
Excellent. Any other questions for Nelly at Tangra?
Richard has a question, actually. He just wants to know, where are you physically located, Nelly?
Physically in New Jersey, in the States.
And she's also in the metaverse, right?
In the metaverse, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I think from my standpoint, like when we look at metaverses right now and the amount of metaverse pitches that we're getting, and we keep in mind we've been investing in NFTs and blockchain gaming since 2018, right? So when we see this, like I just don't fully see how this is going to differentiate and acquire a ton of users to be able to build like a sustainable model specifically in the metaverse and benefiting from being in the metaverse. So I mean, our thesis is that we're looking at 1,000 metaverses live by the end of the year, or close to that. And so when you take that into consideration, it's going to be very difficult for, someone that wants to hire like a digital assistant to like go and enter into another metaverse and then take the time to do that and then go find what they need within that metaverse. Like, it just seems to me like extra unnecessary steps. Like if this was integrated into other metaverses, it might be different as a layer to sort of be part of that and then monetize off of that maybe could be interesting. But I just have challenges in seeing like how this is going to acquire like a ton of people spending a lot of time in here, which then allows you to monetize and upsell off those users.
You bring a great point, Ali. Thank you. First off, we would like to ensure the stickiness of the users and bringing all those experiences to them along with the assistance, along with the integration. We would love to enable them and empower them to perform as much work as possible in the metaverse with their team members. So that's one. And then the second point which you're making, this is actually something, since we've been into the integration space, we do want to be able to integrate with other metaverses. As you know, there are no standards for that right now. There isn't anything existing, at least to my knowledge, but we would love to pioneer the way, which means you can bring your avatar over, you can bring your experiences over. How and when that will be possible will be seen, but this is definitely a direction which we're thinking.
Excellent. Well, great information exchange here. Nelly, anything else you want to add to further elaborate on your model, what makes you radically different, and how you're on the pulse of what's coming before we move on to the next great Web3 startup?
Yeah, we already have a running MVP, working MVP, which is great. People can actually experience it, actually see it for themselves. And because we have already built the underlying workflow automation engine, that puts us in a much better position. Also, we would be focusing on the experience itself, and again, trying to enable teams to operate in the metaverse. These are teams who are either completely virtual or are operating in some sort of hybrid mode. What we see, many companies which just start, never even think about a brick and mortar office. So having that virtual office will be a must to each and every company. Something else, we know how many websites exist nowadays. They would all be replaced by much more immersive experiences in the future. So instead of just the regular 2D Web2 website, you will be going and actually interacting with the company in a completely different way. I believe there are hundreds of thousands websites being created every day. So that means that there is the need, and there will be the need of a more immersive, engaging experience and a better interaction with the company in the metaverse.
Yeah, that's phenomenal, Nelly. And Richard mentioned he's requesting if you could send some links so we can see some of this experience. He put his email there in the chat window. That would be great. If anybody else wants to see anything else from Nelly, both on the investment side and also on the startup side, please drop your information in the chat, and I'm sure she'd happily send that over for you to take a look at. Again, after each startup has the potential to demo their product, their company, please feel free to reach out, to collaborate, to exchange. This is what this is here for. So we leave it up to you to connect with each other. And thank you again, Nelly, for sharing all that you're building.
Thank you so very much for this opportunity.
Absolutely. So next, I want to have the opportunity to introduce Tamir. Tamir is from Obortech. He's going to share more about what they're building. Tamir and I had a chance to chat again, just like Nelly and I, before this meeting, and really excited about what he's building, specifically in solving a lot of these supply chain problems that we see here on a global level. There's the Web3 enablement to it. So Tamir, if you wouldn't mind walking us through what Obortech does and what you're really looking for in an investment opportunity.
Sure, Michael. Thanks for the opportunity. So I'll just start right away by sharing my screen. Let me know if it's visible to you. Is my screen okay?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks great. Can everybody see that okay?
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Okay, thanks. So I will just start from the quick intros of key information. So, our company, we have two companies. One company is in Estonia and one company is in Mongolia. And we've so far raised around 2.7 million USD via token sales by crowdfunding. And we are on a stage for product pilot testing stage with early adopters and testers. Over 10 organizations participating in our pilot stage at the moment. And our business model is a SaaS and transaction-based model for P2P business in supply chain. And we are asking for 2 million for 10% equity in the company. It will be post-money valuation will be at 20 million. And we projected revenue forecast for 40 million annual revenue by 2027. So just dive into the problem that we are trying to solve is that the supply chain. So, sorry, as you know, that the COVID pandemic crippled the global supply chain and created a lot of crises everywhere. And now you can see that the world conflict between the political and the economic crisis also making the situation even worse. And now people everywhere understanding that we can't move the supply chain that we have had in the past, like exchanging the information by paper-based, etc. So everybody is now starting to understand how to make it more smart and more digital and more flexible in terms of this kind of situations. So you can see that this is a lot of numbers in terms of inefficient supply chain, that almost 1.6 billion tons of food is wasted, and also the most suffering part because of this is the small and medium enterprises, because they don't have this IT capability and they don't have they have some difficulty with dealing with the large systems that developed by big organizations and complex procedures of the centralized organization. And this is the picture. You can see that this is the actual picture that happened in 2017. This is the 160 kilometers of queue of trucks near Mongolia and China border. This is 100% due to inefficient logistics, lack of information exchange, etc. So we see that there's a lot of big opportunity in supply chain management globally. So we anticipate that by 2027, the global supply chain market will reach about 52 billion. And we aiming for mainly for the Europe and Asia market on that. So we expect that market will reach 23 billion in 2027. And we are aiming to this market from the very tiny fraction of this market. And we did some studies on the current market solution that is based on a blockchain and trying to solve in supply chain problems. This is some of them is a really big platform. Some of them is small platforms for various reasons developed. But the one thing we noticed from there is that there's two things they are missing at the moment. One is that they are mostly focusing on just a track and trace of the supply chain for the blockchain platform. They don't have actually the really nice collaborative environment. Their platform is not much user-friendly for small companies. They are more dedicated for the big guys and big enterprises who have the IT resources to connect and build the application on top of them. And the second thing is that we don't see any good combination of use of the private blockchain and both the public blockchain. Most of them is a public blockchain, but some of them is only a private blockchain. So there is no really good solution combine these two. So we see these two drawbacks on these solutions, and we want to change it by our way. So we see that the combination of private and public blockchain is really interesting if you put it together in a correct way. So what we notice is that when we talk with the small and medium companies in supply chain is that whenever they think about the blockchain, they think naturally as a public and open system. Then they think that if their business information can be shared to everyone in the world, and they are very sensitive about that because the business information is quite confidential. Some of the innovation is confidential. They want to exchange information in a private channel. So in that case, we're offering them the private blockchain environment that we are building on a Hyperledger fabric. So we call it this Smart Hub platform. The Smart Hub platform will be actually the private blockchain space. They can exchange information only within their peers and partners they connected and establish the network. But when they start understanding the benefit of blockchain, we will encourage them to share as much information as possible on the public blockchain that we are building on Polygon chain. So the public blockchain we call marketplace. It will be totally open ecosystem like Web3, and then it will grab the key information of those businesses that is recorded on a private blockchain. So more deep dive into what this Smart Hub actually is. So will be based on a private blockchain. So in a simple word, it is the decentralized Facebook for supply chain collaboration. So when I say Facebook, is that it will be very easy to collaborate, very easy to exchange information like a Facebook. So supply chain is full of events and documents that share with your partners. So same in the Facebook, like you sharing your live stuff events with your partners. So same in supply chain, the companies share the events and documents related to their products and businesses. So you can post supply chain events and documents very easily, and you can also comment, accept, share those events and docs with your peers in the network. You can also use the IoT sensors to track the product movements, shipments, and containers if you want. And connecting the IoT sensor to our platform is very easy. And then once you can have your business history that recorded in a private blockchain area. So once you have that, you can have opportunity to jump into the next level, which we call it the marketplace. That will be built on public blockchain. So marketplace, in short, it is a Alibaba for Web3. So when I mean Alibaba, is that we will have a profile of your business on this public space, and then you can use those profiles to exchange information and collaborate with others in the same environment. So, but you need to get listed on this public space to using your business histories that is recorded in a Smart Hub, which is recorded in a private blockchain. And also the decentralized scoring and rating system will be offered. So unlike Alibaba, which is centralized and only verified by the Alibaba company itself, in here it's totally decentralized. All your partners and peers will score and rate you in your business in the marketplace. And also we are introducing the tokenized economy for everyone in the marketplace for launching the project, exchanging services, member rewards, and governance, etc. So why us and why our project is we think is strong is that we have a very diverse team of experts who worked in a very large companies of project. You can see that Harvard and Myers, etc. And we are not only a tech-savvy people, we are a collection of people who can develop businesses. For example, our co-founder has 20 years of experience in logistics sector. Our lawyer graduated Harvard and he has really good legal experience. And me, myself, I worked about 10 years in the project development for international level. So we are a team of experts that can build businesses. And we also established wide partner networks. So you can see that some of the big names is already in here. Microsoft is helping us to bring this accelerator program. And some of the companies in here is our early adopters and testing our system in their own environments. And also I want to mention that we're also going to collaborate with RNO1 for our design partner as well. And also we have tractions and over 20 organizations expressed their interest to participate in our beta testing. And we also got the top 6 projects by the Microsoft Center program from 500 applications. We also got accepted to new chip accelerator from 1,400 applications. We also became the startup of the year by the HackerNoon, etc. And that's in a nutshell for what we are trying to do. And I'm happy to answer.
Yeah, Tamir, thank you so much for explaining the intricacies of what you're building at Obortech. I think it's fascinating. You know, we have a lot of experience helping tech-enabled brands to solve supply chain and logistics issues. And I think it's just a fascinating space to be in, leveraging the power of blockchain technology to solve some of these problems. So with that in mind, I want to turn it around to, again, the investment side. Anybody here, equally, anybody from the other startups that have questions for Tamir or thoughts based on everything he shared?
So Tamir, you know, you have such a wonderful product that you're bringing to the market. You know, I deal with the cold chain supply chain companies. Okay, and one of my startups is into cold chain, and I can see your relevance there. And particularly, there is another startup that I'm aware of, which does a lot of IoT stuff. But you have gone beyond the IoT sensors, right? You have gone into the data management, you have gone into smart contracts, you have gone into real-time collaboration and communication and so on. Okay, so this is wonderful. But you are not able to articulate your story well. Let me tell you, your presentation, I'll be very frank with you, right? Your presentation put me off to sleep after the first minute. Okay, you are making a pitch to the investors. Okay, you have to hit upon those few points which matter to them. Okay, what matters to us? Okay, what is the size of your market? Why you are the best person to do it? Why is it so hard to solve the problem that you are solving? And what is the glimmer of hope in your becoming a very large company, right? And if you are able to hit upon those points, I think that will drive your that will make you interesting, for somebody to spend time with you. What you have gone through is more like a product presentation. Okay, we're not interested in that. Okay, we know that you are a technically smart guy. Okay, we know the space. So the excruciating details that you are trying to explain, okay, are not required, because we are well read in this space, right? We understand what the space is all about. Okay, so this is my, because I have gone through your deck in the morning today. I went through your deck. It's a beautiful deck in terms of what you're trying to do. Okay, your articulation of story is where you have some issues, and I think you need to work with somebody who can help you with that. But it is an amazing thing, and I'll definitely get in touch with you separately.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, great feedback exchange. Anybody else have any other questions or thoughts for Tamir?
So should I answer the message that is in Richard asked in the chat? So
please. Yeah, that'd be great.
How do companies get listed? I think he's asking about the smart hub and our platform itself. So the onboarding will be totally decentralized. So anybody who joins on our platform have to invite their partners and peers to send the invitation through the blockchain network. And then once they get the invitation, they have to insert the identity and KYC information about their organization. Once it's done, and then those information will send back to the who invited that organization, and then he will review that and approve his entrance into the platform. So meaning that only your people or organization that will join your network. There will be no strangers can go into your network. So it's ensuring the privacy very well in the smart hub. And then for the marketplace, for the marketplace to get listed, they have some history of business in the smart hub first, and then once they have reached that, and they can get listed on the marketplace.
And Tamir, Richard wanted to confirm: is this by invitation? Is that correct? Just to clearly confirm.
Yeah. So it's just the email that will need to be sent to the new user.
Okay, great. Perfect.
So
well,
I mean, I think sort of just to add to this, like, I mean, we've seen a lot of supply chain solutions. I think even a lot of the competitors that you've mentioned, many of them launched, 3, 4, 5 years ago even. And I think one of the challenges for me was, when you talk about, hey, if we get a small percentage of the market, like there's no reason why you should get a small percentage based on saying that statement, right? Like, I think you've got to show like why are customers going to use this. And I didn't really see that like too clearly. I don't think that supply chain companies or like major Fortune 500s need a Facebook for supply chain. But like, I think I kind of understand what you were trying to get at. I don't know if Facebook's really the right analogy, considering it's a B2C product and not an internal product between them and their partners. But so I think there was a lot of challenges even in like the analogies that you were giving for this. But also, I don't know if I really saw any that you mentioned any like Fortune 500 major companies that are actually signed up or paying or willing to pay. But I know you're still early in the journey, so I think that's something to work on.
Yeah, Tamir, did you want to respond to the customer side or?
Yeah. So the few things on that is that we are just talking about only the blockchain technologies that they're using at the moment. So we are not competing with the companies that already established 10 years ago, etc. So what our analysis shows that the current companies that using the blockchain had some drawbacks, and the blockchain is just going to the supply chain, especially for many recent years. And then we saw that most of the solution is mainly focusing on the big guys and enterprises, and they is quite complicated to onboard, especially for the small companies. So that's what we saw. There's some gap in there, and then we are mainly aiming for small companies to onboard, make it very easy for them to use. That is why I'm just talking about the Facebook, that we want our platform simple as Facebook for small companies mainly.
See, if I may say something, Tamir, there's one more thing I wanted to point out to you, that, you put up these numbers of 2 million at 20 million valuation. Never do that in a deck like this, okay? Because you might just put up some investor and say that, okay, what kind of valuation he's talking about? He doesn't even have a product, where there are paying customers, right? So, you should never put up such numbers, and, because people will question you, what is the basis of your valuation? You have no basis right now, okay? Because you have not seen any traction there, okay? So, generally people at your stage of the startup would go for a safe note, okay? So that's the best way to say that, okay, I'm raising a safe of 2 million, okay? And the valuation will happen on your next round when it is a priced round, okay? Just a few.
Excellent. Well, thank you everyone for the feedback, for the questions. Tamir, if you wouldn't mind leaving all your information in the chat so everyone can get in touch. Of course, we'll be recirculating this after the event to everyone here, but would be great for you to share that. And again, thank you everyone for the questions and feedback. Tamir, thank you for your very thoughtful presentation, all the great information. As we transition to our next presenter, I want to make sure Ezra is here with us. Ezra, are you there?
Yeah.
Excellent. So I'm so excited, equally excited about Ezra and what he's building. He comes to us from Emote AI. He'll tell you more about what he's building in the metaverse, but very excited for this. I think it's something that is going to be extremely compelling as we scale outward into the future of what the metaverse can be. And would love to turn it over to you, Ezra, to share more about your vision, your mission, and the potential behind this new working concept.
Thank you. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Great to meet with everybody. To give you guys some context about my background, I came from the esports gaming space a few years ago. Built an esports game company. Ended up doing an exit from there. It was during my time as a publisher when I realized how bad mental health is in the gaming community and how widely unaddressed it's been. Fast forward 3 years later, the whole announcement of the metaverse and the development of that really told me that I should probably reinvest my time and energy on solving an issue that I saw that was obvious to me. So started Emote AI. I'm going to have to speak on a high level because I'm in the middle of a patent process right now. So this will just be like a high level overview. Yeah, so just like I said, this is just to me like a really high level summary. I can't get into specifics, but I'm happy to answer any questions, go into tech demos off screen. But basically our key thesis in understanding how the metaverse and how this is all going to play out for the next decade is for all these metaverses to grow. They're going to need to show that they can have safe, healthy communities while maintaining a robust user experience in their worlds as the whole industry grows into $1 trillion industry over the next decade. And it's really just a quest right now for all these worlds to set the standard. From what I'm hearing, the first group to get to the first billion is really going to set the typical standard with obviously underlying interoperability and user base. Where we fit into the metaverse market is looking at how this applies to gaming, esports, entertainment, and then the future of working in the workforce, Fortune 500 companies, day traders. We see ourselves part of the underlying infrastructure layer to help focus on the issues of mental health related issues, tilting, burnout, issues within communities such as harassment, toxicity. These are the areas that we want to be ubiquitous in all metaverses on both the developer side and to the end users with our product that we're launching later on this year. Right now, we're in the middle of just conducting beta trials with a couple of metaverse companies this year, and then we're going to be able to publish the white papers and then go to market against our research findings. Our vision really over the next 5-10 years is to be the gold standard for compliance and governance of safe online communities. Right now, you have a lot of ungoverned communities right now in Web 2.5 in virtual environments. And we want to be there for parents to make sure that they understand what's going on with the mental state of their children so that they can make better regulation and decision making, as well as for adults that want to get what we offer as augmented self-awareness. That's it in a nutshell. Hi, I'm Ezra. I'm the founder CEO. It's me, my CTO. Been working on this for the last couple of years, running in stealth. And later on this year, we're going to be able to make some public disclosures with our product. But we work closely with a number of universities and colleges here in downtown Toronto. Right now, we're just doing an overround to expand out to the States and go to market. But I'm happy to answer any questions on a high level, but unfortunately, I can't get into the specifics, but I'm happy to have one-on-one discussions and show more in depth with where we are. We have a functioning live alpha that we use to demo to clients and investors. So thank you for your time, everyone. Happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, phenomenal, Ezra. Thank you. And what you're building is so fascinating. It's so unique and equally so necessary. We believe as things unpack in the world of the metaverse and various channels. So with that in mind, I want to open this up to everybody here again on the investment side, but also for any team member on the startup side. What questions you have for Ezra, feedback, comments, ideas.
Yeah, here I'll go first. How do you monetize this, or what's your sort of revenue model around this?
Yeah, so we have a SaaS model direct to users, metaverse users, and then we have a marketplace for developers, third parties that may want to get that data from the end users. But it starts from a SaaS model.
So just to understand that, so you connect into other metaverses though, right?
Yeah.
And so they're not on your metaverse. So
No.
So you connect into other metaverses, but then you add a SaaS model to all of their users, or just the users that opt into this, or like how does that really work?
Yeah. So really, we go to end users, and it's available to anybody in any metaverse. The goal is to be interoperable with all engines and all creators and developers.
So it's a SaaS model to every user? Like, for example, if you partnered with, I don't know, Sandbox, does every user on Sandbox have to pay you?
No, they can choose to opt in if they want to.
Okay.
The way we try to get into these worlds is offer a beta trial, like a free trial with 100 of their users, get a taste. And then if they want to become paying users, convert them over to paying users. That's the kind of goal this year is we have already like 3 clients lined up to just run these tests against their users. And then the metaverses get to, say that we have a third party partner that's helping govern and build safer communities around their work infrastructure. But it's up to the users to eventually to have this if they want to. And again, it's targeting to parents as well as adults. So if you're above 18, it's directly to you. If you're below 18, we would obviously charge your the parents.
And Richard also had a question. Ezra, do you see that in the chat window?
Okay, great. Right now, we're in the middle of filing the patent, so I have to, again, be very careful of not making any public disclosures, but it's to cover the technology side of things and But the goal post raise this year is to finish the filing in the States and then go to market and be loud with our marketing schemes.
Great. Richard, does that answer your question broadly? Any additional?
Yeah, so it's on the AI side of things that the patent covers that we're basically trying to protect what the AI does, how it works, how it builds into metaverses. Yes, it does. And that's why we're spending time this year to invest in the Web3 cryptography side of things. So the end goal is that we become an AI DAO ourselves, but that is the long-term vision. But we're being the tortoise in this race, essentially learning best practices from other people and then apply it the best way to ensure full safety and security of users' data.
Last but not least, right? The tortoise. Yeah, no, it's great. I think there's so much research behind what you're building. We had a chance to chat earlier, and equally, I believe there's a lot of opportunity here. So it's phenomenal. Do you want to share anything else, Ezra, to kind of wrap up the demo, the explanation of what you're building here and your vision, or do you think you've kind of summed it up?
I feel like on a high level, I'm trying to do my best not to get into the details. But again, if anyone wants to learn more, feel free to reach out to me. I usually do private demos and presentations on what we're doing. Like I said, we're in the middle of a round, so I do this regularly with investors right now. So happy to chat, answer further questions, and dive deeper with the technology.
Super quick question. What type of patent are you filing? And then what does the round look like?
Okay. So right now it's a provisional we're doing for the US, which will give us some time to refine our patent claims. If we're going to do one large batch, we'll do a series of segments throughout the year based off of our findings with the white papers and case studies that we're doing. For the round, we're raising $2 million right now. And we've got some commitments, but we're just looking for more angels, VCs, what have you, to come in and fill in the rest of the round.
Ezra, Richard is asking if you could put your email there and contact info in the chat, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, for sure.
And please feel free to share any other relevant information with Richard and or others here, just to re-engage post this demo day here. Yeah,
I'm available on LinkedIn, but we're running against still stealth at the moment right now. I hope you guys understand that. We have like a simple launch page on our website, so feel free to check it out. I'll throw it in the chat box. It's just emote.ai. But yeah, it's great to see everyone in other worlds being put together. We want to be here for like the long term, and my goal and vision is to help reduce the suicide burnout rate and make the metaverse a more healthier, safer environment as this plays out with the next generation of AR and VR hardware, which is what I feel is when we're going to see more mass adoption and more actual real life use cases as people's lives get more efficient, but also, more interesting. So yeah, happy to chat and love the energy in the space here. And looking forward to connecting with anybody if anybody's interested in learning more.
Well, appreciate you sharing. Thank you so much, Ezra. As we move forward here, I had a chance to chat with Mike over at Ficto TV, and it's such an exciting venture that they've been working on in this entertainment vertical. I'm really happy to introduce you to him. And Michael, if you wouldn't mind sharing more about what it is you're working on, your journey, and presenting that demo pitch that you've put together. Would love to see it.
Yeah, forgive me if my thing crashes. Been on and off the whole time. For some reason, the recording is challenging my computer, and I don't know why. But anyway, if I crash, I'll just restart again. So let me share my screen. So we have been around for a few years. We were a streaming service first, and we've converted everything to a Web3 store in the last few months. Let me see this. Can you see the, is it sharing it or no?
I can't see it yet. Can anyone else see it?
It shows it's still loading in my end.
Okay, there we go. Like it's populating now.
Right, perfect.
Can everyone else see that as well? Perfect. Great.
Yes.
Okay, great. So we're a Web3 store, buy movies, TV, collectibles, and so forth. We are, essentially distributing, selling, renting content, in a way in which it's all secured by blockchain contracts. We've been doing this since 2019. We actually use blockchain to optimize the delivery content. We've never used a CDN. And as a streaming service offering, we got millions of views on an appointment viewing basis for specific shows that we finance. Recently, we've converted everything to a Web3 store. It is not for public consumption yet, but Universal, their entire library, Paramount's entire library, Miramax's entire library, STX, Film Hub, all are on board. We're going to launch with approximately 30,000 titles in the next 2 months. When we launch in July, will be the first Web3 store that has a majority of Hollywood studios on board. No one's ever done this before. There's a lot of film financing stuff in the Web3 space for various projects. Sony has experimented with NFTs, but no studio has actually tokenized their entire library. And we've done that with many of the libraries now. And we intend to get all studios on board, Disney, Warner Brothers, et cetera. So I'm going to keep going here. Buzzing through this, there's a number of different things that we're solving. We've a number of different constituencies. Consumers, suppliers, meaning content suppliers, investors, and talent is also referring to type of supplier. The biggest thing for consumers, which we'll touch on here in a second, is discretionary income and the recession and subscription prices and whatnot. But overall, we intend to be a global consumer destination for the best movie shows, events. Same day EST releases is Apple Movie Store, Vudu, Amazon. So if you see a movie that just is available for purchase after its theatrical run, we'll have it the same days as Apple, Amazon, et cetera. We're a unique opportunity for marquee talent to engage directly with their fans in terms of creating a network effect when they do release something that they own directly. And we're going to be best in class for all the major studios as seen there and so forth. So this is the real key. This is the real sort of secret sauce of what we're doing. So there's a lot of blockchain purists out there. There's a lot of Web3 purists, and none of those people got the studios on board. We got the studios on board because they don't want to sell in P2P. They don't want to put 3,000 or 5,000 titles that are billions of dollars in IP assets and expose themselves to liability associated with P2P. They already do a direct-to-consumer offering with streaming services. What they don't want to do is create an EST offering, essentially open sea, and be open to all of those challenges. Somebody might do that someday, but I've met with every CEO of every studio. None of them want to do it. So we built this to accommodate this sort of mix. And if you're on OpenSea, you're not going to get marketing. You're not going to get a number of other things that we offer too, which they look for in this case. And the ESTs, in terms of the left-hand side of the screen, very traditional. They haven't changed since 2006. Very rigid tiers for pricing, et cetera. So what if we're the best of both worlds? The best of what people like in Web3 and the best of what people like where EST came from. And that's what we are. So viewers will pay as little as 10 cents a movie. They can pay that in USD fiat, or they can pay that in Ether, or they can pay that in the utility tokens that we issue. And then viewers have the opportunity to earn when they watch content Ficto, meaning they can earn Ficto tokens. They can use those Ficto tokens to purchase what's called a Stream Pass. That Stream Pass will unlock tens of thousands of titles every month. So you don't have to watch a la carte. You can have a subscription sort of based offering through those tokens. So essentially, this is what I just went through. Stream Pass is a form of an NFT, unique to holders of it. Instead of logins, you'll own that NFT. You can renew that every month with those tokens. You can participate in Stream to Earn, or you can just buy that with cash. Or again, if you're a viewer, you can skip over this and just buy a la carte. Suppliers, we have unprecedented economic terms, best in the industry. The next best for just revenue share is Apple Movie Store, which they give you 60%. We give you 80%, right? Amazon gives you 50%. But it goes way more than that. The real exciting stuff is, the unlimited monetization techniques we do with what people have, familiarized with OpenSea, with limitability, collection, selling. We're confidentially with Miramax, we're going to do a limited edition of Pulp Fiction. Quentin Tarantino is going to support it, where we're going to actually not only limit the amount of titles of Pulp Fiction that will be available for purchase, but we're going to actually include clips that have never been seen before off the cutting room floor, essentially. And those will have limitability to them, so open for auction pricing. Most of the studios are not really into the auction stuff. They're interested, they're leaning in, but they're going to, as a baseline, take advantage of the EST offering with the progressive economics and customizations. And as over time, we believe a lot more of these libraries will do some of the cool things that we're familiar with in Web3. Talent's really exciting. So when I was an agent for 20 years, I worked at WME, the largest agency in the world, representing a lot of big talent, directors, showrunners, and whatnot. So I know Scorsese, I know Anthony Hopkins, I know Kevin Smith. They all have these individual projects where they're tokenizing fundraising from day one. And right now, if they raise funds for their movie or their show and they sell it to Netflix, they go from Web3 to Web2. It's kind of a Adidas thing. There's no real store that offers what we're doing. There's blockchains, there's solutions in the back end, but there's no real store that makes it all really easy. So we don't have to get into details because I think we're already short in time, but this is essentially this. We have a white paper. It's available, all public information, Ficto TV about.pdf. You go to our website, you can find all this stuff, how it breaks it down. This is StreamPass I mentioned before. I'm buzzing through this. And there's tokenomics, which we don't need to get into right now. But essentially, there's incentives for all the constituencies, right? So it's really important to have it all there. So that's really it. I mean, just to touch on, what makes us different from just pure P2P play versus a traditional EST play versus streaming and AVOD. Like, there's a real long list of things that we're offering that you can't find in any of these other places. And we have some real go-to-market plans. We've all done this with all the studios. They've gotten bored because they've seen our go-to-market plans in terms of what we're doing. I know I'm going quickly, but that's the spirit of this. So we don't need to get into details, but we got an excellent team, combined, experience of decades in terms of both media and technology. We work with everyone from the likes of LG, Anheuser-Busch, all the major agencies, et cetera. So, and we have a wonderful tech stack. We spent millions of dollars on, and there we go. So that's it. That was fast.
Well done. Thank you so much, Mike, for walking us through that. Congrats on your journey, your success, just like all others here today. And I know Richard, to kick off, had a question there in the chat. Would you mind answering that for him?
Yeah. It's blurry because of can you read the chat? Because I can't access it.
Yeah, absolutely. His question was, why did you set 10 cents as a purchase price, or is that a stab at what you think consumers will pay?
It's actually just the arbitrary price. The customizations are 100% up to the content provider, so they can charge a fraction of a penny if they want. Because the underlying transactions in Ethereum, they can charge $1,000 for a unique 48-hour premiere event. I just say starting at 10 cents is a consumer marketing sort of thing to catch people's attention. But in reality, they can charge far less or far more on it's their choice, in other words.
Got it. Richard, does that answer your question? Okay, perfect.
Quick question. Did I catch this correctly? You said this is built on Ethereum? And is that going to scale effectively?
Yeah, so we use a technology called the Alluvio Content Fabric. It's one of the handful of optimized content delivery systems. It's an alternative to CDN. That content fabric, we are not charged any gas fees. We're not charged any minting fees. We're actually not even charged any bandwidth fees. It's a just-in-time packet, as opposed to streaming millions of instances on a source file. We can stream it to 4K with no additional cost. It's pretty extraordinary. It's award-winning. The Alluvio Content Fabric also contains the new Fox Studios, all of its library. It used to contain MGM's library before Amazon bought it. So it's incredibly cost effective, and I think it's one of the industry's best. It's a great question.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions for Mike at Ficto?
Thanks.
Mike, if you wouldn't mind leaving all your information to get in contact, we'd love to open up the conversation more, where they can find you, where they can learn more. Again, as we spoke, we had a great conversation around the future of what's happening here, just as you've shared. And I think you guys have done a phenomenal job of reeling this in and radically differentiating at the same time. So well done. Thank you for sharing. Again, please leave your info there in the chat. If there are no other questions directly for Mike, would love to open it up to any generic final questions to any of the startups, the founders, the teams here today, back to the investment panel, and equally from the startup founders to the startup founders. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. Any questions from anyone here today?
I have a question.
Please, yeah.
There's a looming recession, and we don't know for sure. The bear market has to trend that way, and we'll see if that happens. But and this is a Web3 forum, and NFT sales in particular has taken an incredible hit. Despite that, Q1 was a record amount of investment that was earmarked, like as a mandate to spend, on startups, blockchain technologies, or just in general Web3 space. There's a lot. I forget the number, but it's an astounding amount of capital that, as I understand, it varies, but has to be spent, or at least in that space, right? And the last thing I'll mention is, like, it's been evidenced by just the article, the amount of news that has come out. Like, it's almost like 3 or 4 new companies each day. All I see is startups in Web3 that are being raising capital, closing capital deals. In fact, I don't even see any non-Web3 doing announcements, right? So my question is, do you see this continuing? Or is there going to be a lull and see if these pay off? Because I have to believe that, there's going to be some sort of, spell because crypto took such a hit, right?
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's such a great question. Since we have the brightest and most brilliant minds here today in the Web3 space from the investment side, I'd love to redirect it back to them to see what they think, and equally what the rest of the team here thinks from each respective startup. Any input from Ali, Richard, any others on the investment side?
Yeah, I'll touch on it, right? VC funding was down in Q1, right, by 19%. So it did actually dip. And a lot of people that we're seeing are slowing down. Sure, there's a lot of VCs that are mandated to deploy in a certain amount of time, which might be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, depending on what their deployment period is. But if the market's falling off a cliff, people are still going to wait and see to an extent, right? So we're seeing some of that. We're seeing longer time to close deals, et cetera. Having said that, we closed 8 deals in the last 2 weeks. So it's actually been our busiest period. But we also have a very different strategy, and we're very early behind a lot of companies and a lot of mega companies now in the space. So it just depends, but it could be an extended sort of bear potentially. And at the end of the day, we don't really predict short-term markets, so it doesn't affect our strategy too much, but we're seeing a lot of other people right now affected or slowing down or pulling out of deals and stuff like that.
And Richard in the chat says you can expect drop off in the nearest term, which I can agree with too. Yeah, I see that coming, and not from the investment side, but from the side of a neutral Swiss-like, if you will, perspective. It's fascinating to see what's happening on both ends, in the startup ecosystem for Web3 and equally on the investment side. And, the market is, it's in a bit of a frenzy. So yeah, survival of the fittest, you said it best. And, I think the key is, like always, cash is king. If we're producing profit, if we're generating revenue, if we have some, post MVP strong revenue position, I think investment is likely to funnel back into that much more so, unless it's a long tail play. As Ali said, if we're investing early and we're looking at this long tail, I think there's a big vision for the future. We could ride a lot of waves, but in this case, I think in this crazy market that we're in, you're probably right. It probably is survival of the fittest, to say the least. But it was a great question.
A quick thing to add on maybe is also like you're seeing a pretty significant correction in multiples right now. So a lot of startups that we'd seen raising at crazy numbers, pre-revenue, pre-product, or even with like small revenues, like are correcting back pretty significantly, right? I think you got even, for example, like fintech multiples have gone from 25x forward revenue to 4x forward revenue, to give you an example. So if you did 3 or 4x your revenue as a startup in fintech, like your valuation goes down, right? So like that's probably another factor to consider as well.
Absolutely. It's a great answer. Great questions, great answers. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what plays out, and ultimately how we can get to where we want to get to with all this disruption, a non-favorable disruption. But I think at the end of the day, from our perspective, it's radical differentiation. It's driving change in the market. It's creating better utility, better form, better function, equally, which supports everyone who's here today from both the startup side, the founder side, and also the investment side. So I think it's us all working together to change the world, one concept, one product, one something at a time, and riding these waves ahead. So yeah, phenomenal questions. I just want to kind of wrap up today to let everybody know we appreciate everyone being here. There's a chance to collaborate more into the future. Please feel free to, again, leave your contact information for each other. We would encourage you to open up that conversation, even if it's just to ask a question or provide some type of advice or feedback. And again, this isn't limited to the investment side, but also startups. As I said before, we're going to be hosting these events every single month around this time every month. We do a lot of things here as an experienced design agency for tech and Web3, but the goal of this event is really centered around acting as a catalyst for growth in the Web3 space. And that comes from two sides. That's from great utility and founding teams and concepts and ideas, but also great capital access with equally brilliant people who can ignite those growth potentials, as we see across different markets. So again, thank you everybody for being here today. As you move forward and want to participate, attend, share more of what you're working on with these events, you can check us out at our landing page centered around the event at retrn.one, or you can visit us online as a direct experienced design agency at RNO1.com. And again, we have a unique program dedicated to the Web3 space. Yeah, absolutely. And as mentioned, please exchange your information here. If there's an opportunity to invest, we'd love to have you invest. If there's an opportunity to share, we'd love to have you share. And if not, we hope to see you again on the next event.